It's around the town with Taylor Brown. You'll be in Rugby League Heaven for season 2, episode 7. I'm Lee Addison, and I'm about to do this podcast with Justin Bieber with his new haircut. And also, the man in Guantanamo Bay has let his hair grow so long that I reckon it could possibly go into a ponytail. We'll start with you first, Taylor Brown. Why is your hair like Justin Bieber's?
Oh, I think he's a winger now. He's built for
I asked
speed.
Taylor Brown, Brendan. Let him answer, please.
Well, I think for a long time I've sported the comb over on top. It's always been the case.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but around once a year, and when I was playing football, I used to go through a crisis, and everyone who played with me probably for the last 4 or 5 years of my career could tell you that. Um, I'd always play a game where I felt I was off the mark physically, and I'd say, I need to peel it back. I'm shaving my hair off. I don't care what I look like. I need to be a mongrel. I need to get physical. This is who I am. And I'd have a Britney Spears moment every single season, guaranteed, where I'd just go, I need to get back into this mindset.
What I need
Well,
you all to do, if you're listening to the podcast, or guys, Brendan and Taylor, if you can just type into your phone Tintin comics and press images, you'll
Oh,
see Taylor Brown looks just like Tintin.
he's Tintin's dad.
Brendan, your
so
hair's grown a bit long.
Yeah, just thought I'd go crazy with some long hair for a while.
Yeah, that's right. For those who can't see, although I'm going to give you a reason in a moment why this will be a video podcast as well that you can watch on the Taylor Brown Media YouTube channel. Brendan's hair is at least 1 millimeter long. Now, Taylor, you've had a really busy weekend of rugby league, haven't you?
I have. I've had a really busy weekend. I played football myself on Saturday night. We had round one for the
Did
Stanley
you?
River
How did
Wolves.
that go?
We had a loss against Coolum Colts, who are a very highly touted side. They've been tipped to win the comp. We lost 18-12. We were a very tough, gritty side, but we were just lost a little bit in good ball, and we dropped the ball a lot, and we gave away a lot of penalties. So you're never happy with the loss. But in saying that, you could definitely see positives from the game.
And then you went to your other job on Sunday.
Yeah, so I got the opportunity to call the BMD Premiership on Sunday between the South Logan Magpies and the Mackay Cutters. So first time for myself as a play-by-play commentator for a feature game for the Queensland Rugby League.
Nice.
So that was a really good milestone for me on the weekend, and yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Getting back into the booth.
How did you perform in the commentary box? At marks out of 10.
I would give myself maybe a 6 out of 10.
Okay. Okay. Knowing
I
you
thought
probably give yourself a 9, but because you're on record, you have to knock it down to 6.
no. I just thought I found myself several times to be a little repetitive, not as creative as I like to be. But look, for my first play-by-play effort for the season, I'm not overly upset. I know I've got a lot to work on. I've got some good people in my corner, so I'm just going to keep chipping away at that side of things, and I get another opportunity this Sunday in the BMD Premiership again.
Now, if you gave yourself 6 out of 10 for your commentary performance, how many out of 10 would you give yourself for your football performance on Saturday?
uh, Look, I believe if you're going to what I think I will get to this season, I think I was a 5 out of 10. In the trial match, I would have been a 3 out of 10. My timing's getting a lot better in defense. I can feel that sort of natural instinct coming back. And I pumped out some more minutes. I pumped out 40 minutes on the weekend, so half a game, which is your stock standard for a front rower.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a few things coming back, and I thought I did a good job, taking some tough carries. And yeah, I think I'll definitely get there. I'm very confident after the game on the weekend that I'll get back to a 7, 8 out of 10 this season.
Now, Taylor, as you know, I've already said that this will be a video podcast as well this week. Could you think, if you could choose one person to analyze your game, who would it be? One coach in the
Well,
world.
I think it would be it would be yourself. I think, especially out of the coaches,
Thank you.
Coaches I've had, it would be yourself. And the reason why is you've coached me, so you know me at an intimate level, the way I play football. You also know a little. You've done a lot of A grade football with Ipswich and things like that, where you know what the gold standard of A grade football is as well. And one thing for sure is you're not afraid to tell me how you really feel or where I need to get better, regardless of my ego, which we all know I have.
And what's really good for those watching who are going to watch this on YouTube as well, they'll get to watch it with all of us.
Oh, no.
Because I have acquired the game from the weekend. So while we're doing the pod, I thought I'd just let this run. I'll turn the volume down and we can get on with the rest of the pod. So first thing I want to point out is I have a little look and just to identify who you were. You weren't in number 10, were you? You had a different number on.
Yeah, no, I wore number 23.
Is that because the jersey didn't fit your number 10 or?
Yeah, number 10's a 3XL and I prefer to wear a 1XL. So that's why.
Okay. So, Brendan, I'll just let you look at Taylor first, but then we'll obviously get on with the pod. And then when we see Taylor do something, we'll just pass comment in and around. This is Taylor here. I'm very sorry if you're listening to this. If you are listening to this, please go to YouTube this week. So I'm going to put the whole podcast on. As you can see here, Brendan Taylor just got to the line in time. He was struggling to get back, and it's the first minute of the game. He was in there. He was doing a bit of his.
So you're giving away a penalty at the first minute of the game?
No. He stuck his Niagara Falls in there on top of that player's head, and I think already I can see some of the old traits of the elbows up when he runs and carpet carrying the ball, and it's very interesting to see, Taylor, that some things never change. Now, wouldn't you want, Brendan, your front rower to be right here now, ready to take in a carry when you're back in your own end? Instead, Taylor's hanging out on the left edge, as you can see, puffing away there, trying to get the big ones in. He's lost 20 kilos. What's with the head gear, mate? What have you got on your head there?
Oh, it's just a headband to protect my ears, something I did towards the latter end of my playing.
Now, your ears will only get bothered if you take some carries and do some tackles, mate. So just let you know. And that was a great protection of your kicker there, mate.
He's into me. He's into me.
Oh, so we'll have this as a backdrop, boys, while we're talking. Mate, you've done a lot of hovering around there, isn't it?
It's the threat. It's the threat of engagement that gets him.
You literally look like the biggest bloke on the field, though. I've got to say that.
So
yeah.
From now on, can we say that it's not how much time you're on the field, because there's obviously quite a lot of time where you're just walking around like Brown's cows. Can we actually put your time in the game as when you're actually actively in the game rather than just walking up beside to play the ball?
Hang on. You've watched one set of defence, which we gave away a penalty.
What was that, Taylor, that you just did there? Let me see.
I didn't even see. I wasn't watching. I was looking at Rosie.
As he Taylor flight, right. So there you are, just ambling up. What's this now? Is that Taylor Brown or Dave Taylor in the 23? What's this?
Listen,
jumps out the line.
This is the Taylor Brown podcast. You're about to get sacked. You're on the chopping block, and Rosie, you're not too far behind him.
Yeah. So if you aren't if you're not watching this on YouTube already, if you're listening, please this week take some time to watch the YouTube channel, because which is Taylor Brown Media. I'm going to upload that to this whole podcast to there, because we've got footage of Taylor Brown. I won't do this every week, but it's quite entertaining, isn't it, Brendan?
It is. He's very good at looking at the play of the ball.
Oh, there he is, third man in. Whoa, look at that. Look at that. Lost his feet and everything.
Yeah, you bloke. Can we get onto some topics that I sent through? What's the point of me sending through some topics if we're not going to talk about it?
we'll just let Andrew Demetrio know that you're ready to come up at any stage. You will
Who's
dominate.
Andrew Demetrio? Don't you mean Jason?
Oh,
Andrew Demetrio used to run the AFL champion.
Well, maybe that's where we need to go to in the future.
Okay. This week, you talked about Demetrio, Rosie. You just got the wrong one. I'll ask you first because it's been all about Taylor, but let's keep an eye on him. Is it a bit harsh what's going on? Apparently he's got one game left.
Well, it is harsh if it was this season that it happened. But unfortunately, from around Origin time last year till now, I think they've won a total of probably 6 games out of 20. It's obvious that there's something wrong. But unfortunately, for every coach that coaches the game, you're at the mercy of the players. And for some reason, and I'm not saying that JD's a bad coach or anything, but it looks like he's lost that dressing shed for whatever reason. And sometimes you just need to cut your losses and move forward. But yeah, I feel sorry for him. I actually feel sorry for a few players as well. But there's something terminally wrong at the club. And of course, it's easier to get rid of a coach than it is to get rid of 5 or 6 players.
Taylor?
Yeah, look, I think that obviously Jason Demetrio.
You need to get wider of the ruck. Get wider of the ruck.
What do you think about
penalty though?
What do you think about getting the lads a penalty straight away, first touch?
I know. All right, go on, Demetrio. Back on. Hey, you shouted at us. You stay on task here.
I think that getting rid of him. So we need a little bit of, as Rosie said, give us some context around that. Oh, if he loses this weekend, are we going to see him chopped on Monday morning? Is that what we're going to see? Or are we going to see, right, you've been given this long, we're going to start to look at our options now, Jason, you're going to be terminated from the end of this year?
Apparently some of the board or the hierarchy met yesterday. And Hoops is reporting that you might as well say Bennett's $1.04 to get the job next year, so they'll put a caretaker in.
But now you're saying that Wayne Bennett's said he's leaving the Dolphins. That's what you've said.
Good decoy run there.
I don't think Wayne Bennett's leaving the Dolphins.
Well, his contract's up though.
But does that mean he leaves the Dolphins? That's the next question.
No.
He's come out and said that he wants to be the head coach, and from my understanding is there's an agreement that he's handing on the baton to Wolfie at the end of the year.
That's right. That's true. That's Wolfie's job.
I'd like to know, is that in a contract? That's what I'd like to know.
Yes.
Is that signed, sealed, delivered in the contract?
I believe it is, yeah.
I think it's the same deal that he had with Demetrio at Souths.
Okay. Well, if that's the case, then look, if Bennett goes back to the Rabbitohs, I actually wouldn't mind seeing that.
No.
I'd like to see him stay in the game. I think we all agree that Demetrio's still got a lot he can. Bennett's still got a lot he can offer if he went back to South. So, yeah, as long as Bennett's not lost to the game, he's still got some good coaching in him.
In other news, the team you're playing against are wearing Brisbane Broncos from the 1990s colours.
Yeah, it's extremely distracting actually with the game in the background.
This is like Broncos versus West Panthers, and
North Sydney Bears.
Sydney Bears. Jamie Sowers just followed me on Twitter, and Taylor's still not behind the ball yet.
Yeah, because we're going to get back to a second. Mate.
There he is, just wandering over. I analysed the defence for Souths for a period for the webinar with my coaches at the weekend, and I've mentioned this on the Rugby League Coach podcast, which I host. Please listen. If you're watching or listening to this, it's getting great traction. And their defence, I had to remind the coaches I was working with that it wasn't under 11s or under 12s. It was actually the NRL. Some of the most basic things that they were getting wrong, and obviously attitude and integrity and whatnot is very much a contributor to these things. Now, just again, I'm sorry to go back to the footage, and there will be periods where you're not on the field, Taylor, so we can get a bit more focused on NRL and things like that. But I am predicting that you will try and get the ball now. The ball is down near your attacking end rather than get some ball at your end. In a real sour note, Taylor, you might be able to put some light on this. Is it true that a referee's car was attacked in the Sunshine Coast at the weekend?
It is true. Unfortunately, it did happen just after this game that we're watching on the screen. The good news is I can confirm they weren't supporters of Stanley Rivers, which is really good. Unsure whether they had an affiliation to Coolum. It was caught on CCTV footage. It's been sent into the police, but they're unsure of the intentions of the attack. I know that the referee's car had parked someone in for a little bit of time. And when they were able to move a few cars to get that other car out, they attacked the referee's vehicle. So it's unsure what the intentions were, but
so it might not be because he's a ref. That might just be a coincidence.
It might be a coincidence, but it's just a lot to take in when you're thinking about, hey, these guys are doing such great work. And the referee on the weekend, I thought, did a stellar job with our game. And, to come off the field and find that, he's a dad, he's got a family. Disgusting to think that would happen in any community, let alone the community of rugby league. So, no one deserves that. He copped that. So I just hope that the person who the perpetrators were found. It's a really good thing. Someone from Stanley Rivers saw them doing it, videoed the whole thing.
Good.
There's also CTV footage of the whole incident. So really good that and proud that the club I'm involved with on the weekend did the right thing. I'm not saying Coolum were involved. I just don't know who the perpetrators were.
Rosa,
it was your home game though, correct? Is that right?
Yeah, it was our home game.
Yeah. So you'd assume that the home ground would take a lead, and I'm pretty sure Coolum would have done the exact same thing if they saw it. So
absolutely, and Stanley Rivers have done a really good job. I believe there's been a couple of members of the club that have reached out to that referee to see if there's any way that assistance can be made. And yeah, I know certainly the coach of our side and a few others have insisted on getting involved.
I'd just like to report Taylor Brown did a tackle. Now, Rosie, you're a referee from days of yore. Did you ever have any dramas where you were attacked or abused after a game really badly that stick out in your mind?
Oh, for sure. There's probably a number of occasions, and me and Dad spoke to one. We got follow time for probably about 20 kilometres along a road. I actually copped a huge spray one time at halftime by a Queensland Cup coach, which you'd assume that they'd know better. The different things is on a few of those occasions, whenever I saw that person next, they just sort of said they apologized, and actually to be fair, the probably reason why one of the worst crowds that I ever refed against, and they would get personal and probably and to be fair, they actually did their research, which was actually funny in some regards. Was probably I had some fun up at Dolphin Oval, but mind you, I had some really fiery games up there. But usually once the game finished and everything went, there was some easy things, but definitely at local football there is some issues. But 99.9 times out of 100, the local league and both teams would look after you and pull their own people in line if they were out of line.
When you're getting up off the ruck, Taylor,
hey?
When you get up off the floor in a game in the ruck, the attacker isn't on fire. You don't have to jump off him like he's on fire. NRL boys, you were so busy. You were so busy this weekend, Taylor. Did you see much NRL? Who were your favourite team this week? Best and worst team?
I didn't see anything on Saturday, which was unfortunate, but I really got into the mindset. I very much enjoyed watching the football last night. I watched the Titans and the Cowboys, and I also watched the Eels and the Raiders. I thought the Titans and the Cowboys was such an interesting game of football to watch. Titans really tried to mount a comeback towards the end there. Unfortunate that they couldn't quite get there, but it just would have been good for the game for the Titans to get a win, and that's why I say unfortunately. As you know, I don't really have a dog in any race when it comes to these sorts of scenarios, other than our tipping. And I actually tipped the Cowboys, but I thought the Titans showed a bit of promise. I thought Brimson had some great footwork, and I thought, this would be really good to watch, but they couldn't quite get there. So, I didn't watch too much rugby league this weekend, I do admit, but it was great to be a part of a lot of football here in Queensland.
Are you off the field here now, Taylor?
Yes.
How many carries did you take?
That's 15 minutes in.
My God.
It's 17 minutes in. And
when did you come back on?
I came back on just after 10 minutes after half time. I played 15 more minutes and then the last 10.
All right. Let's see if you're on here now. Geez, that was the shortest stint I've ever seen that. No TB. So do you think this is before you came on?
Hang on. It was 15 minutes.
Are you on the field now? Yes, he is. Right. So let's get back to the start of this. Who was your best and worst team, Brendan, this weekend?
The best team was definitely Manly. I thought really, really good. Manly seemed to be a real hot team. When they're on, they're on. But when they're off, they're pretty poor. And they seem to be a different side when they play out of Brookie, which is good for the fans. And disappointing, and I don't want to keep going on. There's two teams that were disappointing. The first half, the Roosters were extremely disappointing, but then on the flip side, the Bulldogs were extremely disappointing in the second side.
Yeah, I'd like to doff my cap to the Bulldogs this week for getting 26-0 up or whatever it was. I didn't see the game, but
no, I watched the game, and the first half. First of all, the Roosters were terrible. And they may as well have just given. Someone must have had some money on Kick Out having a great game, and that they were really terrible in that first half. Dom Young deserved to be sent off, knocking a guy out clean. Then when they lost Teddy, I think it was late in the first half, but then. And then the Bulldogs were up by 20 or something, 20, 24 or whatever in the second half against a 12-man team who then were down to an 11-man team and their best player and the halfback's gone. And to be fair, the Roosters looked like a far better side, and you could even see with the Bulldogs players at the end of the game, they weren't happy with the result. Even though they won, it's good they got the 2 points, but it was a weird game.
The Dom Young send off. 2 year ago, 3 year ago, Rosie, is that a send off?
Yeah, I mean we're playing the game now. He got him flush in the jaw, knocked him. The guy was knocked out before he hit the ground, so you can't say there was no force. No, you can't say. Yeah,
I'm probably. I came across the wrong way there. I'm just asking, do you think 2-3 years ago that's a send-off? I agree with the send-off. I think the send-off's right. I'm more tipping that the players that are flying in and doing these sorts of things, I don't think they've adapted quick enough to this ruling. And I think they need to get on their bike and hurry up, because when a bloke goes down like that and there's high contact, it's a send-off. I agree with you. I think action needs to be taken. But how many more times do we have to see these sorts of collisions up and in before players start changing tact or doing something? Because it seems like the two most dangerous actions in rugby league are the ones that Dom Young took, and it seems hit-ups from the kickoff. I think they're the two most collision-impacting things that are causing damage in concussions, and it seems like players are just getting them wrong or getting something wrong in those two, forceful movements. And are the players not adapting, or do we just need to find a way to get around this as a game to rule them out? Because seeing a player go down like we did the other night from that impact, it was Mate, he folded. It was like watching UFC fight. It wasn't pretty.
And there was actually another one. I tend to agree to a degree with Robinson. There was one in the Dolphins versus West Tigers where one of the Fanu brothers copped one right on the chin. I don't care if it's the wrist or the hand, got him right on the snoz, and he was standing up, and all it was a penalty. Didn't knock him out, fair enough. But there is some consistency, but I can understand that it was one-on-one. There's no question marks on it. But I agree with you. 3 years ago, it's just a penalty, or maybe 10 in the bin. But it's also the coach's responsibility. You know, now, the coaches. Yeah.
So I didn't see the game, so I didn't see the hit. What I did see was pictures of Dom Young with his shirt ripped. And I'm not gay or anything, but I thought I actually got quite attracted. I thought he's bloody got a rig on him, hasn't he?
It's because he's English.
I had a tiny bit of a man crush on him. And I dare say that, like, if he's a single man over here, while he's suspended, he can keep himself occupied with some other things.
Yeah, but mate, don't you know now, the new in thing is dad bods.
True.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. So
luckily, I don't. I'm still in the Adonis stage. Now I've paused the tape because, they're under the pump a little bit here, Stanley River, and what they need now is the man that did one hit up in his first stint and two flops.
Can I ask
look how his steam's on here. Here he is.
Are you trying to get me sacked?
Sacked from where?
From the Rivers.
Yeah,
the
probably.
Wolves.
Yeah.
You're trying to get me. You're trying to get me.
Now I've got to share the screen again. I forgot about that. I gave it the big talk and I forgot to share the screen again.
Oh my goodness.
Here we go. Blame the producer. So as you can see, who do you need at this time of crisis? Here he is. He's coming on now. You'll see him at the bottom of the screen. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Look at him. There he is. I don't know if the video slowed down a bit of internet, but maybe it's Taylor's slowed down a bit. There he is hanging on a net. Did he put you in the second row, did he? Left edge?
No, I was pushed out so I could run the unders line here.
Oh, here he is. Here he is. Here he is. Yeah, not bad. Not bad. No issues.
That hit up's worth about 6 points on Supercoach.
Yeah. Okay. Tipping. Myself and you, Taylor, came out on top this week, 6 each. Rosie had a shocker, and then he just pulled some out of his backside. Oh, you didn't. You just doubled your hit up count in that set. But you only scored 5, Rosie. So our scores at the minute are: I'm at the bottom of the ladder with 21, and you two are joint top at 23. And I guess before we go into this week's fixtures, your best and worst players and your best and worst coaching performance.
My best player for the round is Viliami Kikau. I really think the old school jersey, Viliami Kikau in it, it was Willie Mason and Sonny Bill Williams rolled into one. And if he didn't get it purely on merit alone, the nostalgia of watching him run around like that in that jersey got me over the line, as a rugby league tragic. And as a bloke that grew up in the Canterbury Bankstown region during 2004, I was 11 years old, and those guys I was a Dragons fan, but those guys were superstars, so to see that sort of effort is, was really good to watch. So I really liked Viliami Kikau for mine. I'm not even watching the tape because
For those who are watching, did you see Taylor just hover around the ruck there? He just went all around looking for something to do and couldn't find anything. Just watch this. Watch this, Rosie. As you can see, these two boys working hard, wrestling. Taylor just looking at it, wandering around. Oh, no, that's all right. I'll just get back in the line. Hey, who needs a teammate like that? He does do a little bit of a shift here, though. Saves the day here with a shopping trolley, pushes the shopping trolley down, sticks his Chaminda Vase in the back of his head, lies down. He's on the floor, and he's still not up off the ground. Now, Brendan, your best and worst.
Mate, I
Um,
review
I-
some of your tapes, but it's all in black and white.
What's in black and white?
Every game you played footy in, I'm surprised they had camcorders.
Oh,
My best player was DCE, and a bit of nostalgia on that, being his 310th and top play. And you know who I'm extremely disappointed in? And I'm going to say, and this is probably I'm going to get shot for, Damien Cook. You know, he's a senior player, he's an Origin player, and all the heat's coming at Cody Walker and Latrell Mitchell, and that they definitely, especially Latrell, needs the heat. But Cody Walker is not offering, whether he's injured, whatever it is, he's not offering anything at the moment from there. So he's usually been in the past when the team's down, he's just taken the game on his shoulders and tried. But yeah, I'm going to go DCE and then Damien Cook.
best coach and worst coach, boys. We can. Can I go first? I'm going to give it a joint. I'm going to give it to Seabold, a coach who I've been very critical of in the past. And I'm going to give honourable mention to another coach who I've been quite critical of, Cameron Seraldo, because for him to get that performance out of his players in the first half, regardless of what the Roosters were like, I mean, that's a quantum leap from where they were the week before. I mean, they were really poor against South. So I mean, look how bad South have been in their next performance, and then it puts the Dogs showing in even more context, doesn't it? So yeah, I think Seraldo needs some credit where it's due there. I do believe they were awful in the second half, so I don't know what they did at halftime. But on the other problem is I don't know with Seraldo whether I give him the credit or Gus, because the rumours are going around again that Gus is sticking his oar in. So I don't know what you think about that, boys.
Look, mate, it is what it is, and if the rumor starts going around like that, I dare say it's probably happening. And if you look somewhere in the past, Lee, you'll probably find there's a couple of articles that have the same sort of pattern to lead up until someone getting thrown out in their chin to vast. So I think if anyone out there knows how to read the signs and read the stars, I think they'll get a pretty good idea of where this path's going. But
here he is. But hey, that's a good carry. That's a good carry, Taylor. Credit where it's due. Not a bad play the ball either. Pull your dacks up. Good lad. Right. Best coach, worst coach.
Best coach for the weekend was Sticky.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
He coached a side that was, I thought, very underwhelming against an understrength Sharks side in round 4. Yeah. And they just put a clinic on the Eels last night, which is, Xavier Savage was just absolutely dynamite. Yeah. And then my worst coach comes from the same game. It's Brad Arthur. They lost by a point to the Tigers last week.
I agree.
They lost by a point to the Tigers last week. You'd think they'd have a bit of something about them and come out and put it on the Raiders in Canberra, and they look like they didn't get on the bus to leave Parramatta, let alone get off the bus. So in the same game, I have Sticky and I have Brad Arthur.
Rosie?
I'm going Sticky, obviously very good. They were terrible against Cronulla and they were really good. And I'm actually going to go Robinson as my worst coach. He had a team that...
I'm glad you've mentioned him.
Because the first half, they were terrible. They were absolutely terrible. And then when it came to the press conference, it was everyone's fault, bar the Roosters. At the end of the day, the Roosters were down, I think they were down around 20 points, and they didn't even look like they were on the same planet. They literally looked like they were going to come to the game and they were going to put 50 on Canterbury, and it was going to be that. But then at the end of the game, yeah, good on him. He got all emotional. He got all that. But he was looking at everyone other than his own players. And his own players are the ones that put him down 20-0, not the referee, his own players.
When does he get under pressure?
He was under a bit of pressure last year. The funny thing is they've only got one extra win over South, and they've probably had a easier run than South.
Yeah. Look,
and is Tedesco? I'm actually really worried about Tedesco now.
Taylor's just been bent like a pretzel. Yeah, Tedesco. 10 concussions, I believe.
Yeah, and it was, and they're not, and a lot of it was a repeat of Billy. Kickout did what he did to him in Penrith, literally ran over the top of him and knocked him out, and he got his head in the hip, and yeah, I would be surprised to see him back, not next, if in just 10 days. I would be surprised.
Well, one thing I will say is, the Roosters seem to have a fair concussion protocol there. They've had Keary, they've had Cordner, they've had a couple of issues with this Jake Friend.
Plenty of practice.
Jake Friend. Yeah, so I like to think that they're going to get it right. James Tedesco is very important to that side.
I agree.
He's done a lot for that club.
Yep.
So
I think he's in the best hands in that regard.
Yeah,
I agree.
I think that no stone will be left unturned for James Tedesco, and no stone should be left unturned for any player. But it does make me feel better that that's the case.
The oldest trick in the book, Taylor, when the ball's gone out on the sideline and it's a turnover, if you can't be bothered running, play the ball.
Do you know what the plan was, Lee?
So that you don't have to do a run.
The plan was to go 2 in, but unfortunately we didn't get to the right lay, so it didn't happen. So we didn't lay the right line. So if you want to go underneath and find out,
you shouldn't talk back to the coach. Now
you're not the coach. You've got no idea.
Give us. Here we go. Stop running over his line, man. Get wider and straighter. Now, give us a bit of review on the Queensland Cup this weekend, Taylor.
Oh, sorry. One guy I'd want to give a bit of a shout out to was that young fella from Ipswich who played for the Titans. He brought a heap of energy onto the field when he come on, and he didn't take a backward step over anyone. He's going to play a lot of footy now.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, well,
go on.
Yeah, I think that there's a few players probably around the grounds and in the Host Plus Cup that are probably pretty close and knocking on doors, considering some of the performances. And there's a lot of clubs that aren't rock and roll at the moment, and we'll see what happens there. Keep an eye on that space. Tigers a convincing win over the Clydesdales over the weekend, 48-0. So any hope that the Clydesdales might have been sort of middle of the pack and pushing seems to be somewhat dashed over the weekend by that. That's a really strong win. Seagulls a good win over the Devils, 26-20. Real tight one in Townsville, 19-18. The Blackhawks beat the Cutters. And then, some pretty close games to round out. A lot of high-scoring games in the Host Plus Cup this weekend, highlighted probably by the Dolphins and the Jets. Dolphins 40 beat the Jets 32, 72 points in a match. So there's a lot of points on offer there at North Ipswich. But, look, a pretty solid round. The Capras in the wet beating the Burleigh Bears. So hopefully the Capras are back to some good form.
Are they playing all their games out of Rocky Grammar, or is it just because it was really, really wet?
Yeah, there's upgrades being happened at Brown Park. So I dare say they'll still move between Gladstone and Rockhampton, but the Rockhampton games will be at that park there at the grammar school.
Before we move on to our National Rugby League tips, boys, I've just paused the tape again because it's at a critical juncture. Taylor, you have a burst of energy here. There's a break in play. You run over. What are you doing here? Who are you talking to? What are you saying?
Do you actually want to know?
Yes.
He was having a back and forth with a hooker that kept coming off the bench, a small bloke with a footy in his hand.
Yes.
And they kept going at each other, and there was whispers of getting a bit fisticuffs. And I walked over and said, well, instead of picking on the smallest bloke, next time you get the footy in hand, why don't you run at me?
Did he take you up on your offer?
No, he didn't. So that was
okay.
Yeah. But anyway, that's what was said. If you want to know the full story, there it is.
Quite honourable of you, Taylor, actually. Taylor Llewellyn, I like that.
Well, I didn't have to do it in front of everyone. I just walked over and let him know that I'm ready.
You actually ran. You ran there and then walked over.
That's not my run.
The Knights versus the Roosters. We're not in a rush, boys. We've got a good 10, 15 minutes. Knights versus Roosters. TB.
Look, I think given everything that Rosie's just said a moment ago about the Roosters being not as impressive as he thought and the way the Knights were, this is going to be a tough game of football, especially at Newcastle on a Thursday night. I think that I'm going to go with the Roosters. the mean. Oh, I was looking at Lee's face and his eyes lit up, so I presume something's happened on the football park. So
Yeah, you didn't time your run, but you got to ground quickly. Well done. But you
Okay.
did just get stopped in your tracks, like.
I think that we're going to see the Roosters win that one, mate. If I'm being honest.
Rosie,
I think I'm going the Knights
me
because
too.
I'm seeing that Sam Walker is not going to be in. James Tedesco is not going to be in. There's question marks over Sandon Smith, so it's going to be a bit of a
Ragtag outfit.
yeah, definitely.
So
I do like to change my tips once I see the team list, but I'll stick to it. I'll stick to the Roosters.
the next game is the Storm and the Dogs. The Storm and my Dogs. Said nice things.
Well, the funny thing is this game last year, the Bulldogs end up toweling up the Storm.
Is there a bit going on here, Taylor? The refs are having a chat, the touchy and
Mate, there was a bit going on all game. It was a pretty fiery one over
bit
there.
of extracurricular.
It was a fiery one over at the graveyard that we like to call it. So, yeah.
Sorry, Rosie, to cut you off, but I was just concerned about my friend's welfare on the field.
I was just saying this game last year, Canterbury ended up giving Melbourne a bit of a football lesson, and then it was all downhill from there for the Bulldogs. But I'll be honest, I can't see Melbourne getting beaten.
Here we go.
He's not on fire, mate. You don't have to get off him that quick. Big bulldozer running in with a chest. Boom. So who are you picking, Rosie?
Storm.
I'm going
Yeah,
Storm.
I'm picking the Storm too,
Who
Lee.
have you gone to? Yeah.
Yeah, Storm. I just think in Melbourne it's too tough to say.
I'm getting too wrapped up in this match, especially with
I know.
any kisty fuffs happening. Broncos and Dolphins.
There's whispers, isn't there, that Walsh might be returning. There's whispers of
no,
Walsh returning.
He trained all day today. So
yeah, the training's completely different than playing.
I think he'll play.
And you got to remember it was a contact injury. So do they test him in contact? I think it'll be a touch and go for Reece Walsh this week. I'd like to see it myself, but I think if Walsh doesn't play, I think the Dolphins. And if you look at the odds there, $3.57, it's not bad if you're a punter out there to have a stab at it.
So it's Monday. Give us a tip, Taylor.
I'm giving Dolphins.
Sorry, Rosie. The issue?
The issue is that there'll be no Farnworth, there'll be no Kafusi, and there's big question marks over Legler.
Yeah, they're a bit busted. So I've gone Broncos. Who
I've
are you
Broncos
going, Rosie?
well. Broncos.
You tip them every week. There's TB overs line again.
I was playing a BC line there, Lee.
Yeah, I don't like them. I don't like them. You know I don't. Are you going to take this tap and go yourself now?
They wouldn't let me.
I was actually really looking forward to Tony Staggs going up. Sorry, Selwyn Cobbo going up against Herbie Fuck. I was really looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's disappointing, but it is what it is. And I still think the Dolphins have enough in them to win.
Did you get brought off the field here, Taylor, there?
Yes, I did. And I come back on with about 9 minutes to go.
9 minutes to go. Okay. Now, this next game, right, I was only thinking, I don't know, I was having a random thought, geez, it'd be good to see the Warriors and Sea Eagles play. I'll have to have a look when they're due on. And then I checked the fixture list, and it's this weekend. And I think this is going to be a belter. But I am going to go with the Warriors on their home midden, though, personally. TB?
You there, mate?
TB?
Sorry, unsure what happened there.
Am I still here?
Yeah, I've got you.
TB, Warriors and Sea Eagles.
Look, this is going to be a really tight match of football. I think the Warriors sneak past the Sea Eagles here. I just don't see the consistency in the way Manly are playing at the moment. And I really like the type of football that the Warriors are pumping out. So I'm going to tip the Warriors, especially because it's in Auckland.
Rosie?
Same as you two.
So we're
Warriors.
not completely buying into the Seagulls thing yet, I guess, all of us.
I am, but I just think they're inconsistent and that needs to build. If they get the Warriors in Auckland this week, I'll be big on the train.
I don't think many teams going to beat the Warriors in New Zealand.
Eels versus Cowboys.
You can, how do you tip the Parramatta Eels after the last 2 weeks they've had? I know it's at CommBank Stadium. I get all those sorts of things, but I can't see the Eels. You know, if they were ever going to stand up and have a go, it's after they lose to the Tigers by a point, and they just didn't. So
the Cowboys haven't been good though.
Yeah, they haven't been good, but I don't like the way the Eels have played football, and I just don't think they have a tough brand of footy in them. And the Cowboys always bring a tough brand of footy, and I think they'll get out muscled.
So you're going Cowboys, Rosie?
I'm staunch on that.
I'm actually going to go Parramatta. I just see a bounce back on this game, and I honestly think that the North Queensland Cowboys have got a really, really soft underbelly.
I'm with you in terms of the Eels. I think they will have a bit of starch in them this week, and every week they go without Moses, they get better. They will get better at doing it. I'm not sure about your soft underbelly, Rosie. I've got to be honest, and I'm not saying yes or no. I am just, I'm not.
No, but when they get
Taylor's
really,
just done a Cumberland throw.
When they really, really get tested,
yeah, you got to give away a penalty. Just what you need. That's what the team needed.
That was the thing I was most angry about from the weekend, by the way.
Yeah. Next game.
He lectured somebody about picking on the small guy and then just flung the small guy in the air.
Hang on. That bloke's got the number 8 jersey on.
Maybe he's doing what you're doing, trying to put a smaller size on. Yeah, so I think they're going to get better without Moses each week until he comes back. Rabbits on the go on, sorry, Rosie, you go.
I think, and I'm not talking about South of the recent times, I'm talking about South of 22. The Cowboys remind me of South of 22. In their head, they think that if they score 22 points, we'll score 24 points.
Okay.
They're just downhill playing. So,
and I'm talking about the Rabbits versus Sharks. Oof, give him his head back. Rabbits and Sharks. Anybody?
I see them. I see if this is the final nail, I see it being inserted in the coffin this Sunday, Luke.
Me too. Rosie?
I honestly think the Rabbits are gonna turn up, and it's gonna be a lot closer than a lot of people think. But yeah, I think the Sharks will win. But I'll be honest, I'm really 50-50 on this game, because the good thing is they're going to bring in that young kid. I don't know how good he is.
What young kid? Who's going to bring in what young kid?
So Rabbitoh's going to bring in a guy called Jai Gray. Apparently, he's a very, very good fullback, probably similar to you.
Yeah, he's from Endeavour School, I think.
He can play.
Yeah, and I think the good thing is with Latrell out on the field, I think some other players might step up. There is talk about what they're going to do in the halves. There is talk of biting the bullet and go with Whiten and Walker. And apparently that Tyrone Munro is back as well, so that'll add a bit of speed into the team. They look like Dad's Army in the back line. They're very slow, but yeah, I think the more times that Whiten gets his hands on the ball, the better.
Is this a bit of biff? No. Tigers and Dragons. Geez, what happened to the Dragons the other day? We didn't mention them.
Yeah, I didn't touch on the Dragons. I didn't see too much of the game, so it's a bit hard for me to.
Did you, Rosie?
Yeah, I watched the game. I wouldn't. I think you're going to get that from the Dragons this year. I think you're going to get them up and down. The fullback had Tyrell Sloan had a real shocker, and then they put Zach Lomax to fullback, and they look like a better team. Their forwards were terrible, and there's big talk that that Blake Laurie's actually going to get dropped out of the 17 this week. I just think you're going to get that with the Dragons. I think they're going to be good some weeks, bad the other weeks. But mind you, too, I'm not a big.
Oh, my head's got dizzy. I was laughing that hard. Did you see that, Rosie?
No, I didn't. Sorry.
So for those only listening, Taylor Brown, right in line with the camera, just absolutely flew out of the defensive line. He just made a beeline for his opposite area, just setting off here, Rosie. Look at this. Boom. Bashed the fullback. Fullback or the wing. Good shot.
But
credit where it's due. That was a good shot. Slowed the set. Yes, TB. Look at that. Look at that for an effort. Have you given away a penalty?
No, they said that I touched the ball. I didn't hit it out of his hand, so it was a knock on.
All that effort for that. Well, that was good. Good hit though. Best tackle yet. Shoulder shape stud. Sorry, Rosie, to cut you off.
I think the Knights actually found that the kicking game of Cogger and Hastings was very big, and it played around with their confidence of the young guys at the back. So, as I said, I don't think St. George bad, but I think you're going to get that all year. They've probably got the worst roster in the comp. So,
Tigers to beat them or Dragons to win?
I think the Tigers this week. And I say that because I think that the Dragons, the Tigers had a tough loss to the Dolphins last week, and they had that single point win the week before. And I just think that they'll get a good win here. I predicted that the same Dragons that played against Manly would turn up, and they did it on the weekend. So,
who are you going with, Rosie?
I really struggle with this one because Bateman's out with his concussion. And when the Dragons actually get really, really gritty, they're good.
Where are they playing the game at?
It's at Campbelltown, so you may as well be at a neutral venue as well.
Scrambletown.
Yeah. Well, if the golf club's open in the morning, I've got to go West Tigers.
There you go. And then to round out the round, Raiders and Titans. Need I ask?
I think it's got to be Raiders. I mean, the way that the Raiders were on the weekend and they're back at home and the Titans have got to travel and they'll have a bit of heartbreak feeling from the game just gone. I think it'll be the Raiders.
Rosie?
Yeah, I think because they got beaten by Cronulla a couple of weeks ago where they just didn't turn up, I don't think Ricky will let them not turn up thinking that they're going to win. But I think it'll be closer than people think. I just hope that they switch AJ, brings them to 5'8".
We've agreed on 1, 2, 3, 4 tips this week.
There you go.
5 tips. So, and we actually agreed a fair bit last week too, and we all did quite well. So, it was the best tipping week I'd come up with. Is the game over yet? Yeah.
That's
over.
it.
What about that for timing? Eh? What
well,
about that for timing?
You haven't finished the podcast with something non-rugby league related.
I know, exactly. I know. I've got 2 things. Finish the sentence. Up and down like a. That's the first thing. So finish the sentence. He's up and down like a.
Pogo
like a 5-minute stint from Taylor Brown.
I was going to say a horse draws.
Oh my goodness.
Now you've seen your game on video, Taylor. How would you assess it?
Yeah, I gave myself a 5. I think, see 4 or 5. Yeah, maybe a little bit less. I think I had some good touches. I knew activity was needed to be picked up. My timing in contact was starting to come back a little bit. Yeah, I'm happy with the 4 to 5 rating. I've got oodles to go. I've still got some weight to lose. So, Yeah, it's going to come back. It's going to come back. And I think
Rosie,
if you
your
go from
thoughts?
the trial to now,
Oh, it's first
Um,
game.
I was exponentially better then than I was in the trial. So I think it'll just keep getting better.
Must have been bad in the trial. So up and down, like I'm going horse draws. What's your final one, Taylor?
I told you, up and down like a 5-minute stint from Taylor Brown.
Brendan?
Pogo stick.
Geez, they're boring. Right. Now, here's my theme for this week, right? I've got a razor. Admittedly, I only trim parts of the mush, but I've got one of those razors that was very prevalent in the 1920s. You know, the short silver ones that have, you put the blade in and you screw the blade in your blade out, and it's a double-sided blade, yeah?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they are brilliant. They are loads better than a lot of these modern things, you know, with the 3 blades, the 2 blades, and all that. I reckon the razor companies have just got rid of those old blades because they cost so much, and therefore make something cheaper and sell it for the same price and say it's new technology, and away we go. So I guess the question is, number one, your opinions on razors in general, but number two, what else is not made as good as it used to be? And
I don't think neither Brendan or I can talk about razors at the moment.
true. Well, you could for the side of your head.
Yeah, that's true. Just straight here, but that's the barber that does all that. So
Yeah.
look, I don't have a favorite razor. I've just got a trimmer. I've got a really nice trimmer. Just trims it, gets it down. Yeah, I don't have like a razor down to the skin.
Okay. So yeah, trimmer. Rosie, your opinions on the modern razor?
Yeah, I'm similar. You know, yeah, I've had a beard for that long, so I just use a razor, and on my head when I shave it, I use the old pit bull head shaver, and that's about it.
So then the other question was, right, what's not made like they used to be? Now, I would argue houses over here aren't built anywhere near as well as they used to be. They throw them up in 5 minutes now. Razors, I would argue. What else? What else in society is not made as well as it used to be?
I will say this: I think that the show bags at things like the Easter show are just terrible. I think back in the day, you used to get some cool stuff. I remember one show bag was an inflatable show bag. You get an inflatable couch, an inflatable all sorts of things. Now show bags are just full of lollies and nothing. There's no cool stuff in them at all.
Yeah.
I think show
Food,
bags, food.
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 What about KFC?
No, but food nowadays, I swear to God, they're getting smaller and smaller and smaller by the day,
Yes.
and they're getting more expensive by the day.
Maybe you're just eating more and more than you thought.
No, I swear that
Maybe your eyes are bigger.
That's true.
no, it'd be the other way around.
Airplane seats.
Actually, no. I've got to say the new ones from Virgin, I like them. I really do like them. I think they're quite comfortable. So there you go. I think that they've done a U-turn there. I think they're good, Lee.
But what about space and everything? Because you wouldn't want to be sat next to you on the Iron Bird.
No, they're good. I'm saying they're really good. I've got big raps on the new Virgin seats.
Okay. What else hasn't been made quite as well? Televisions, are they better?
I don't reckon tools.
Tools?
Yeah, like back in the day, you'd get some tools and they'd last. Your dad would have the same set of tools he had when he was a young fella. Where now, you probably get a good, without spending billions of dollars on Snap-on and stuff, they just don't last as long.
What about cars?
Cars are a big one. A lot of people don't think cars are the same.
Yeah.
But I think mobile phones.
Yeah,
I think
they're designed for 2
mobile
years.
phones are
Can't
really
play
good.
snakes on them anymore.
Phones are really good, but it's almost like they design them so as soon as your 36-month contract's up, you need a new one.
True. They do
Yeah,
that on purpose, don't they?
That's
Probably
my
the
gripe.
same with computers. Computers are similar.
Yeah.
It's like whatever the warranty is on them, they last the warranty, and you may as well throw it away.
That's
but I
true.
guess too, though, if I had a phone 2 years old or 3 years old, unless you paid big bucks at the start, it's probably out of use. And same with computers, because technology is moving that quick.
Yeah, well, technology is flying at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, I'm just, as you know, Taylor, I've got access to your social media accounts and occasionally post things for you due to my role as a social media marketing
Guru.
manager too. So I'm just going to do a social media post now. I'm just preparing it, and you can watch me do it too.
What's it say?
How you doing, everyone? My name's Lee. I'm the guy who hosts the Around the Town with Taylor Brown podcast. I'm just actually finishing it here. They can hear exactly what I'm saying. I'm going to post this on socials as soon as I finish this podcast. So when you see this, the podcast still isn't over. But I'm making this announcement that you must watch the podcast this week. You must watch the podcast. It will be available in audio as well, but I suggest you watch it because we have got exclusive footage of Taylor Brown playing rugby league on Saturday. I'll repeat, we have got exclusive footage of Taylor Brown playing rugby league on Saturday, and his old coach will be analysing him during the course of the podcast. So please head to Taylor Brown Media on YouTube. If you are watching this post, I'm hoping I'm going to download it pretty much straight away. So it should be available Monday night for your perusal. So if you're thinking of listening to the podcast, don't watch it. There you go. I'll be putting that on your socials very shortly. You've been listening to Around the Town with Taylor Brown. Sorry, no, you've been watching Around the Town with Taylor Brown, Season 2, Episode 7, Sunshine Coast Rugby League Heaven. Take care, boys.
Oh, Lee, if Around the Town with Taylor Brown gets shut down this week, everyone knows why. I've canned it. I've knocked it.